Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, entitled family arrives late to restaurant, demands Wi-Fi and insults my great-grandparent. They end up paying 20 times the price of the menu. Why don't you have free brand new laptops? Brother come backs home after college and forced to pay rent. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled family arrives late to restaurant, demands Wi-Fi and insults my great-grandparent. They end up paying 20 times the price of the menu. First, have in mind that this story takes place in the north of Spain, Asturias, therefore I will try to give the necessary context so the cultural barrier is as little as possible. This took place a couple of years ago, when I was 17 and I used to spend part of my summers helping in my grandpa's restaurant. The restaurant was located in the bottom floor of our family house in a little village, 30 inhabitants, and my great-grandparents, the parents of my mom's mom, lived in the upper floor. In the restaurant, my great-grandmother and my grandma were in charge of cooking and my great-grandparent and granddad were in charge of attending the tables. It was kinda small as it had like 8 tables of 4 on the inside and we could set another 2 outside if the weather was good. As the restaurant also served as a bar, it was filled with locals and as many of them were retired, they used to spend the whole day playing cards and drinking beer/wine, so although it was a small location in summer, usually was full of people. Also, please have in mind that my great-grandparents founded this restaurant in the year 1941, therefore it was well known and had a good reputation among the locals. I'm also proud to say that my great-grandparents were very loved in their community as they really were great people. Although it was a quite remote place, in summer we used to get like 4 or 5 groups of tourists per week, and the rule was that my brother and I were in charge of serving their tables as we were the only ones who knew any other language than Spanish. Our opening hours at the time were from 12 to 22:30, but the kitchen was only opened from 13 to 1500 hours and from 1930 to 2100 hours. We only served one menu, composed by a starter, 2 main dishes, dessert and cider or water, €10. So now the story. For convenience I will use the following abbreviations. M. Entitled mother EF, entitled father SK, spoiled kid, 7 years old, GGP, great-grandparent M, me. It was around 1600 hours, therefore most of the customers had finished eating and were chatting over a cup of coffee or some liquor. My grandparents and great-grandparents were still eating as they waited until everyone was finished. Therefore my brother and I were in charge of serving the tables just in case anyone wanted something else to drink. Suddenly we hear a car outside and I can hear a woman loudly speaking in English. As soon as they enter, this happens. We would like to have a table. X from the Y Hotel told us this was a great place to eat. I'm sorry ma'am, but the kitchen is already closed as it's kinda late. Yes, it's late because we got lost in this damn net roads. Is it so difficult to put proper signals? Also, we have a little kid that is hungry. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Let me check if I can do something for you. I then went inside and explained the situation to my grandma, who told me to attend them as everything was already prepared and it would be just heating the food. Well, are you going to give us a table or not? If the kitchen is closed, how is it that those people are eating, pointing at my grandpa's? At the moment I thought she was behaving like that because she was kinda hungry and I wasn't really used to dealing with rude people, as the majority of tourists used to be really respectful. Well, those are the owners, so they can eat whenever they want. I said this while laughing a bit. Anyway, I have just asked them and you will be able to eat too, so please follow me to your table. They follow me to the table and I explain to them that there is only one menu. They give me a strange look, but they seem okay with that. I serve them the bread and I put a bottle of water on the table. They start devouring the bread, so they were a bit rude cause they were hungry. Theories seem to be confirmed. As soon as I bring the starter, EF demands to have the Wi-Fi password. Hey, we have seen that there is a Wi-Fi network. Which is the password? Yes, there is one. However, the Wi-Fi is for the staff personal use. We had a measured and really slow connection that had like 5 gigabits of data, which my grandpa used for checking some newspapers and my brother and I used for sending WhatsApps to our friends. That's bullshit. We are paying customers and we deserve to have access to your Wi-Fi. Yes, our little angel wants to watch some videos. We don't have any kind of internet access here. Sorry, but as I have said, it's for personal use. That's not right, this would be unacceptable in America. Well, I'm sorry to inform you that we are not in America. The EM tells something to the SK and then he starts running around the restaurant stomping his feet and shouting. My great-grandparent comes to me and asks me what is happening. I explain the whole situation to him and he asked me to please translate what he is going to say. Gigi, please lady control your child, or I will have to ask you 3 to leave. Don't you dare tell me how to raise my child, you dinosaur. Don't get close to my child, you old creep. By this point everyone is of course looking with disbelief to these morons. I doubt for a sec, but translate all of this to Gigi expecting a not really nice reaction. Instead of saying anything, he slowly turns around and asks 2 men who are sitting on a table to take the whole family out of his restaurant. I proceed to explain to the family that if they don't get out, those 2 men, who also happen to be 2 guardias civils, like rural police forces, would be taking them out. They don't seem to believe that those 2 men were policemen and they refuse to leave until we serve them. Finally both men stood up, showed their plaques and asked them, in their best English, to leave. EMEF and SK finally stand up and leave. However, as they were leaving, the policeman realized that they had parked in front of our garage, blocking it, in a zone signaled as a no parking zone, so they decided to ask for their rental car papers while taking a couple of photos and giving them a €200 fine for blocking a private property garage. Okay, this ended up being far longer than I expected. On my behalf, I have to say that I have family in the USA and that all Americans I have met in the USA are really nice people, so please don't take this as an American bashing post. I hope you all have a good day. Okay, I'm American and Emma just say to this family that we don't just give away private Wi-Fi like candy. Demanding for staff Wi-Fi is extremely rude and I don't know how anyone has the nerve to do so. Okay, that's all I had to say. That was a nice story. They might not have gotten a meal, but those EPs got some just desserts. When you used the word orthographical to explain any spelling mistakes and then I had to look up what that meant, I knew there wouldn't be any spelling or grammatical errors. Well, I'm sorry to inform you that we are not in America. I'm American, love this. I'm American, and my parents taught me to never act like this when traveling abroad. They were terrified of being the stereotypical rude American tourists. I have some family that owns a similarly small and well-loved local restaurant in a little mountain town called Potes in Cantabria, Spain. Glad to hear that those people got what they deserved, and your family handled it with class. Cheers! Why don't you have free brand new laptops? During the start of COVID, when things were in disarray, no TP anywhere. I was still working, my employer didn't believe it was real and a liberal hoax. At the time, I moonlighted computer repair to make extra money. My dad's employer upgraded all their laptops, like 100, and couldn't get rid of all of them. Instead of going to e-waste, my dad told me about them and I took them off their hands for a bulk price. I had 100 laptops of varying vintage, 10 to 7 years old at the time. I cleaned them up, maxed out the RAM when possible, swapped the hard disks for SSDs and installed Cloud Ready, which was an open source alternative to Chrome OS. Worked beautifully on these old dual-core laptops. The local church was doing donations to help with COVID, so I donated the laptops for kids so they can do some schoolwork at home. The majority were appreciative as they didn't have a computer of any kind. There was one mom that was very unappreciative, let's call her Meg. She told the church there was an issue and they put her in contact with me. She called me furious because the laptop was old and their kid couldn't play games on it. I told her she was free to go buy a laptop for her kid to play games on, and she said I should have given out brand new laptops and that I was going to hell. See ya there, I'll work the grill. Apparently kids can only do school work on new laptops. I saw the laptop on Facebook Marketplace, recognized it because it had number 40 etched into the lid by the factory my dad worked at. Someone had broken it at the hinge since giving it to the church and was all mangled. She said I should have given out brand new laptops and that I was going to hell. Had to look that up. Wow, she's right. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Unless of course you give out old laptops for free, in which case it's straight to hell. The Bible, Karen version. Typical entitled parent expecting every kind stranger to be Mr. Beast. You did a wonderful thing in a time of dreadful uncertainty and anxiety for everyone, so don't let that awful entitled woman take that away from you. Some people can never be satisfied, and even if she had a new one it would never be good enough. Wow, how kind of you to put in your own money, knowledge and time to fix these laptops and give them away to charity. The audacity of this woman. What a terrible human. Brother come back home after college and forced to pay rent. My older brother, 20M, came back home from college to live with my family in our apartment. My dad and mom said that they will be fine with him coming back, and my dad even helped him find a job. But the second they came back home he was forced to pay rent for my parents instead, because if you want to live here again you have to pay rent. Every month he has to pay $1,000 plus just so he would allow to stay in the apartment. My parents don't even treat him well, as they always find a way to be mad at him, especially my dad. This causes my older brother to always leave the apartment to hang out with his friends or girlfriend. I worry for his mental health, and I worry that my parents are taking advantage of him. He did get the job, but that is the only positive. He decided to take college online. But because of the constant bickering from my mom, he can never focus. I want to help him, but I don't know how to. My parents haven't acted like this before, and it truly breaks my heart to have to see this happen to my brother. I hope he can move one day so that he can have a little more peace and quiet. If you are in an area where he can get his own place for $1,000, or get a place with roommates, he may want to start looking. Even if a place costs more than $1,000, I'm sure he has a friend that needs or knows someone who needs a roommate. His parents charging him $1,000 to live there is bullshit. I hope he remembers this when they're old and need a place to live or be placed in an old folks' home. His parents' house payment, if they have one, is probably less than the $1,000. At least the younger brother is seeing this now so he can get his shit together and move out when he gets of age. Start preparing to live independently, you are next in line for this treatment. $1,000 is a huge amount. What studio apartments rent amount in the area? It's reasonable to pay some rent to your parents at that age, but $1,000 seems quite steep. For $1,000 he could find a roommate or two and get their own apartment. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.